All right, welcome back here. We're in section 3 now of chapter 8. Section 1, we factored some monomials. Section 2, we learned to factor by grouping and factoring out a common term, the greatest common factor. We saw that we could pull it out. Now we're going to factor something called a quadratic trinomial. I know that's something you've never heard before, but it's not very difficult. We know that a trinomial is a polynomial that has 3 terms. So we know whatever this quadratic trinomial is, it has 3 terms in it. And what makes it quadratic is the fact that it has an x squared. So a quadratic trinomial looks something like this. A x squared plus b x plus c. And that's where a, b, and c are all real numbers. Okay? A, b, and c are numbers or integers. Okay? So in this section, as you can see in the title, we're going to look at just the case where a is equal to 1. So there's not going to be any number in front of your x squared. It's just going to be x squared plus bx plus c because a is equal to 1. So let's think back to the last chapter when we FOILed. You did either the claw method or the box method. And so if we take a look at this example, x plus 2 times x plus 3, if I do the claw method, I'll do just this one because we're not going to take too much time here. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. 2 times x is plus 2x. And 2 times 3 is plus 6. So when we simplify that, we get x squared plus 5x plus 6. Okay? So what we're doing is we're going to be starting this section with the x squared plus 5x plus 6 and finding the 2 factors. Notice we're going to start here, and then we're going to find the 2 factors, x squared plus 2 times, x plus 2 times x plus 3. Okay? So just like the last section, what we're doing is we're finding all the little parts that are multiplied together to give us the big polynomial. Okay? So this first example, we're going to look at x squared plus 6x plus 8. We need to find the 2 things that multiplied together to give us this. Okay? So what we need to find are 2 numbers that add to give us 6 and multiply to give us 8. Okay? There's no specific method that we can use to find that. You just kind of have to guess and check. So here's one way that I can help myself so that I'm not completely guessing and checking in the dark, is I can make this little chart to look at things that multiply to 8 and things that add to 6. So what 2 numbers multiply to 8? Well, I know 1 and 8 multiply to 8. But 1 plus 8 is 9. So I know that one doesn't work. Then I can look at negative 1 and negative 8, because negative 1 times negative 8 is positive 8. When I add those, I get negative 9. So I know that one doesn't work, so I'm looking for 6. Well, 2 and 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 plus 4 is 6. There it is. There's my 2 numbers, 2 and 4, because 2 and 4 add to 6, and I can write it over here just to check. 2 plus 4 is 6. 2 times 4, let's erase that. 2 times 4 is 8, which is what I wanted. Okay? So then the last step, we're almost done with this problem already, it's not too difficult, is just to rewrite it saying that my 2 factors are x plus 2 and x plus 4. Because the 2 numbers we found were positive 2 and positive 4, we're going to say x plus 2 and x plus 4. That's our final answer right there. Okay? Not too difficult. Just find the 2 numbers that multiply to give you the middle, add to give you the middle, multiply to give you the end. And then plug them in to the final spot there. Okay? Let's take a look at our second example. In this case, we need 2 things. We can use this little chart to help us, that multiply to 16 and add to negative 10. Okay? So two numbers that multiply to 16. Well, we know that the last answer needs to be negative. So we can think about this for a second so we're not completely guessing in the dark. Since the addition needs to be negative, I know that the two numbers in this part need to be negative. So I can start with negative 1 and negative 16. And when I add those, I get negative 17. Okay, that's not negative 10, so it's no good. Then I can try negative 2 and negative 8. Negative 2 times negative 8 is 16. Negative 2 plus negative 8 is negative 10. Okay, that one works. Negative 2 times negative 8 is negative 16, or is positive 16. Negative 2 plus negative 8 equals negative 10, which is exactly what I wanted. So that means I can write my final answer. This time, instead of plus, I have two minuses. So I'm going to have x minus 2 and x minus 8. Okay? Now, I know that some of you are sitting here thinking, do we really have to make this chart, Mr. D? This is stupid. It takes up so much time. And the answer to that is no. You do not have to make the chart. I highly, highly recommend it, especially for those of you that aren't as strong math students. Please make the chart to help you organize it. Okay? If not, if you can look at this, know that negative 2 times negative 8 is positive 16, negative 2 plus negative 8 is negative 10, and get it, that's great. I hope all of you get to that point someday, but there's some of you that are not there yet. Okay? That's what the chart is there for, is to help you. So please use it. So let's look at example 3. This time, we need to find two numbers that multiply to the end, so that multiply to give us negative 12, and then add to give us a positive 1. Okay? So there's a bunch of different things you can try, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, but remember you're trying to get to something that has a 1, so let's think about it for a second. Well, I can start with 3 and negative 4, because I know that 3 and 4 are only 1 apart from each other. And I also know that they multiply to 12. So 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, but 3 plus negative 4 is negative 1. So that one's no good. Let's try the other way. Negative 3 and positive 4 do multiply to negative 12. And when I add those, I get positive 1. So I know that's my answer, which means my two factors are x minus 3, and since it's a positive 4, x plus 4. And there's my final answer. Okay? And I gave you one more example. This time, remember, we're multiplying to the last number, adding to the middle number. So we need to multiply to get negative 18, and we need to add to get negative 7. Okay? So again, with a sum that needs to be 7, or sorry, negative 7, I know that 1 and 18 are not going to work because there's no way that I can combine 1 and 18 to get a negative 7. Okay? I know that 2 and 9 can be subtracted to give me 7, so 2 and 9 are probably going to be my two factors here. We can start with negative 2 and 9. Negative 2 times 9 is negative 18. Negative 2 plus 9 is positive 7. No good. So then I try 2 and negative 9. 2 times negative 9 is negative 18. 2 minus 9, negative 7. That fits exactly. Since I have a positive 2, we'll do x plus 2. Since I have a negative 9, we'll do x minus 9. And that's our final answer. Okay? So I hope this makes sense, obviously. I want you to notice that I gave you 4 examples. I gave you one example for every type of trinomial that you're going to see. Okay? Look up here on example 1. I gave you a positive and a positive. Then you had a negative and a positive and a negative for example 3, and example 4 is a negative and a negative. Okay, those are the only 4 combinations you can see of the plus and the minus. So that's why I did one example of each, so that we have no excuse. Every time you need to look at your notes, see what the problem is on the homework. Is it a positive, 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 negative, or whatever? Look at the example in your notes. Okay? So we'll be here all week. Enjoy section 3, and we'll see you next time with section 4, where we're going to talk about when a is equal to something other than 1, when it's 2 or 3 or -4, -5, whatever it could be. All right? Have a good day. We'll see you later. Bye.